up on 5 News this morning, police are investigating a string of car break-ins. We'll share their tips to help you protect your belongings.
Cloudy and rainy once again for today. We'll talk about the full forecast coming up.
Plus, how officials are tightening security in New Orleans ahead of the Super Bowl. Thousands of agents will be on the ground to protect visitors. Covering news where you live. Your 5 News this morning starts now.
Well, hey, good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on 5 News this morning. It's 6:30. I think we're off to a good start. The only thing is when we're heading out today thinking about that weather, it's just a little uncertain because it's up and down.
It is up and down, and it was a little foggy out there driving to work this morning. Stephen, we're ready for that sunshine we saw on Monday. Are we going to get it anytime soon?
We may see a little sunshine today, but don't expect much. Another cloudy, gloomy day today. At least the good news is that we're starting off on the warmer side. Temperatures this morning right around those low to mid 60s as you head out the door. Comfortable when it comes to what it feels like outside, but still another dreary day with lots of cloud coverage, some rain chances, and a little bit of fog to start off this morning. Let's take a look at that dense fog advisory. Northwest Arkansas until 9 a.m. underneath that advisory. I think right now overall visibility is not too bad compared to where we were yesterday, where we had visibility close to 1 mile. You take a look across the river valley and we're pretty clear across the area. There's lots of cloud coverage and some wet roads out there this morning. Across Northwest Arkansas, that's where we have a little bit of fog developing. Bentonville down to 4 miles, Siloam at 6, Fayetteville though at 10 miles of visibility, so not too bad as you head out the door this morning. We take a look across the area. Definitely everybody dealing with some cloud coverage and a few patchy spots of some drizzle out there this morning. Overall though, not too bad. Cloudy throughout most of the day today, but that temperature drop comes in for tomorrow before we quickly rebound going into the start of the weekend. And then that cold air is coming in by the time we get to Sunday. We're going to talk about that in the full forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, thanks for that, Stephen. What the White House, President Trump is continuing to make good on his promise to change the federal government.
He signed a new executive order banning transgender athletes from women's sports. It's the latest in his sweeping set of overhauls by executive action. Meanwhile, in an effort led by Elon Musk to shrink the federal government, today's the last day for federal workers to take buyouts.
And nearly all 10,000 USAID employees that the agency that works to feed the world and fight disease, they're set to be put on leave as of midnight tomorrow. And then also the president is standing by his idea to have the U.S. take over the Gaza Strip. But he would not elaborate on the suggestion to send in American troops and permanently remove Palestinians.
The president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated out of Gaza for the rebuilding of this effort. Again, it's a demolition site right now.
Now, the president could be setting his sights on another place to make cuts, the Department of Education, but the plans have yet to be laid out.
We are the people! We are the people!
Well, protests broke out across the U.S. on Wednesday as demonstrators rallied against Project 2025 and voiced opposition to President Trump's recent executive actions. In solidarity with numerous protesters across the U.S., a group of Arkansans gathered in Little Rock at the state capitol.
The hashtags associated with the movement represent 50 protests that took place in 50 states all in a single day. This is video of some protests happening around the country. In places like Denver, it didn't take long for the crowd to grow into the thousands. Demonstrators gathered in downtown Los Angeles on Wednesday as protests continued for a fourth day. Well, here at home, police are searching for a group of people that they say are behind a string of car break-ins. Police are asking everyone to lock their cars as anything in sight could lead to a break-in.
5 News reporter Jose Carranza has the story.
Law enforcement across Northwest Arkansas are on the lookout for a felony lane gang after a streak of vehicle break-ins.
Area investigators have been investigating break-ins at local gym facilities.
Lane gangs are known to specialize in identity theft. These are the suspects the Springdale and Rogers Police Department are looking for. They could be from out of state, getting rid of any trackable devices during the break-ins.
I've been noticing purses and other valuables inside vehicles. They're breaking in those cars. They've been trying to cash checks and using their identifications to commit crimes in the Northwest Arkansas area.
Springdale's Burn Boot Camp is just one of many businesses where these break-ins have happened, and they say they're stepping up security. They're creating spaces in their building for belongings and have hired the RS Defense Group for security.
So it's just a matter of just being vigilant and paying attention to your surroundings and always locking your vehicle and making sure that valuable items are covered, concealed, and stored away. We've had incidences where they go into like drop their kids off at a daycare, they leave their vehicle unlocked, leave the purse, and these folks see that.
If you have any information about the break-ins, you're asked to call police right away. In continuing coverage this morning, we're learning of another trafficking arrest connected to a massage parlor in Rogers. Police say it's the latest in Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin's massive statewide investigation. Rogers police say Yuhi Yang was arrested earlier this week. She's accused of trafficking and engaging in a continuing criminal gang, organization, or enterprise.
Officers say that they believe that Yang was one of the owners and operators of all 3 Rogers parlors targeted in the operation. The prosecuting attorney for Benton County says this issue has been on his office's radar for at least a year and a half, and lots of local and state agencies are involved.
I've had folks come to me describing their concerns about these businesses. They're open late. They don't appear to have a lot of, connections to the greater community.
Investigators are looking into the remaining massage parlor owners as well as working with advocacy groups to help victims. An Amber Alert is still active this morning for a 16-year-old girl from Wisconsin. Police say that she was last seen with this man right here, a 40-year-old from Arkansas. The Lonoke County Sheriff believes that Gary Day likely picked up Sophia Franklin at her home on Monday morning with plans to head back to Arkansas. Franklin is 3 months pregnant and Day is believed to be the father. They say that he is already on felony probation for domestic battery charges. In December, probation officers went to Day's home for a check and found him with Franklin. A no-contact order was issued, but Day could only be arrested in December for interference with custody because of Arkansas's age of consent laws.
It's an antiquated law, rule. We're going to work on changing that. I'm going to work with some of our legislators and we'll reach out to them and let them know that that's something we probably should change, especially with all the trafficking and the issues that we have.
Well, here's another look at Day and the victim here in a second. Now, if you see them, you are asked to please call 911 because police believe that they may be traveling in a Black Buick LaCrosse.
A bill to end affirmative action in Arkansas is now headed to a full House vote. The bill would prohibit discrimination on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin. That strict definition means ending long-standing programs for minorities. Advocates for the legislation are arguing for a merit-based system, but opponents at Wednesday's hearing stressed the continuing need for measures to address historic inequalities.
Governor Sanders signed a bill into law that will expand higher education options for those serving in the National Guard. It amends the law requiring tuition waivers for soldiers and airmen to include programs of study leaning to a post-secondary certificate or credential. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, a House committee has approved a bill to ban students' cell phone use during the school day, with exceptions for emergency use. The measure is similar to the Bell-to-Bell No Cell Act being discussed in Arkansas. The Oklahoma bill would require school boards to adopt new policies before the next school year begins. Personal electronic devices like smartwatches would be included in the measure. The bill must pass another House committee before it can be heard on the floor.
All right, let's get you a traffic update for this Thursday morning. Good news is we have no accidents out there this morning to slow you down. Here's a live look out across I-49 there at Walton Boulevard. Everybody's heading out the door this morning, getting out there on this dreary start to the day with lots of cloud coverage once again. We're going to be talking about multiple changes in the forecast coming up in just a bit.
Well, Super Bowl is almost here, and for many, the food is a pretty big part of the celebration.
But before you load up your plate, the USDA wants you to know that letting food sit out too long could lead to more than just a bad meal. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley is joining us with what you need to know to keep your game day spread safe. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Tiffany and Joe. Big gatherings like Super Bowl parties come with a bigger risk of food safety mistakes, and the USDA says those mistakes can lead to some serious illness. But a few simple steps can help keep everyone safe. I spoke with a food safety expert to learn how. From chicken wings to chips and dips, Super Bowl parties mean lots of shared food, but if it sits out too long, bacteria can grow, turning your favorite snacks into a recipe for foodborne illness. The CDC reports that each year, more than 100,000 people end up in the hospital because of contaminated food. And since Super Bowl parties typically involve buffet-style eating over several hours, they can create the perfect environment for bacteria to spread.
Certain activities and behaviors that increase the chances of getting foodborne illness in large gatherings, such as the Super Bowl, for example. And this can range from simple things as just forgetting to wash your hands and handshaking lots of people, handshaking with lots of people. And another big one is leaving food out for too long.
The USDA follows 4 key food safety steps: clean, separate, cook, and chill. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, keep raw meats separate from other foods, and cook meats like wings to the proper temperature, and refrigerate perishable foods within 2 hours. It's also important to keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold. The USDA says the danger zone for food sitting out is between 40 degrees and 140 degrees. So if you have a hot dish like a soup or a pizza, you should keep it in a warming tray or in a slow cooker, or if you have something that needs to be refrigerated like a cold dip, keep it in the fridge or on ice throughout the game. Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.